Hello, I'm Bradley Swart, Associate Professor of Computer Information Systems at the College of DuPage in Glen Ellen, Illinois. And this video is going to take a look at GameMaker Studio version 2, and we're going to try to make some of those room escape 100 doors and rooms. There's hundreds of names for these things. Those kind of simple puzzle games where you're trying to solve some puzzle to escape the room. So if you've ever played like out in the real world, with a group of people, those are a lot of fun as well. Those are a little more complicated in general than what I'm thinking about here, because we're going to start really, really simple when it comes to the things I'm talking about, and then we'll kind of push our way up. We'll make 4 or 5 or 6 different levels of different complexities as we go. And so all I have for right now in the moment is I have a picture file that is in 720p that has a door and a wall associated with it. What I think I just looked up like a door with wall or something like that and just found a picture. But the thing was, you have to basically scale it to be 720p. So I'm pretty happy with this image. So again, just be careful. Make sure, if you're going to stick around with me, just make sure you find a way to turn your image into a 720p image. And then right now, the only other thing I have, and I will add as the levels go on, I'll go and find more stuff and tell you to go find more stuff. But right now, all I also have is something that shows me the outside world, because what I'm gonna do first is chop the door out and use that as a separate sprite, and then I will replace that with the outdoors image here so that we have something that we can work with. So you can actually see that I've escaped the room into the real world and whatever. Yeah, I don't even know. Whatever storyline you're trying to go for. So my 720p image, and this right now doesn't matter what size it is at all, and I don't even know what to cut it down to, because I have to go into here and cut out the door before I can figure out what I need to do. So if I can go ahead and say first things first, I have my 720p image. I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to use the cut tool. Try to make this as big as possible, and just try to make this easy on myself here, and just say okay. And I'm not gonna worry about absolute perfection here. That's your job, right? I'm just showing you the ins and outs of this. If I'm off by a pixel or two, I'm not going to waste my time right here. But of course, professionally done, I would spend a ton of time. People could tell you I spend way too much time on the little tiny details of things. I'm just going to cut it out, and so there it goes. And leave this blank, leave this empty, leave this so that you can see the checkerboard behind you. And then now that I have that going for me, I can create a new sprite. Let me just go in there and pop it in first. Whoops, Control V. Oh, I thought I could do that. I guess I can't do that. I guess I need to know what the sprite size is. I hate this sometimes. Don't you hate this sometimes? You think you know what you're doing? But I thought I could go in. I thought I could edit it and Control V and put it in. But I guess well, I don't even know what I'm thinking right now. So anyway, at least I have this thing set up. So, well, one way to solve this is to resize my canvas and just give it something I know it's bigger than what it's going to be. And then just see if I can fit the door in there. Nope, actually the door is pretty darn large. So 350 by 350. The height's going to have to be bigger than that. Let's see. Okay, cool, fair enough. If you don't know by now, I am 0% artist, so I always love when you guys tell me how to do things better. I absolutely love it, because it helps me learn something about art. I thought I felt so smart. I thought I was doing something smart, and it's too late for me to go back. So there's my door, and now I just got to figure out, just go in here and just go, okay, my door is 256 pixels wide. So I just go over here, resize it to be 256 wide, and then I just got to figure out that the height on this thing is 570. So that's what I'm looking for here. There is my door. Now that I have it halfway decent, I can go ahead and call it a door sprite. So I have background sprite, outdoor sprite, and door sprite. And so outdoors, door takes you outdoors. Haha, right? So, okay, so there's my door. And so what I need to do is cut out a 256 by 570 cutout of this outdoors region. And so 256 by, what was it again? 256 by 570. So I'm just going to cut it out. I'm going to resize it over here. 250 by, oh goodness, I already forgot. 256 by 570. And what do I get out of it? I get that. That looks pretty cool. So that's going to be what I see from my door when I open the thing up. It's going to be, well, this is what I'm going to see here, something like that. That looks pretty cool. I like the look of that. So that's my door sprite. This is my outdoor sprite, and I have my background sprite. I have the three things I need, at least for level 1, at least to get started here. So I have level 001 already set up, and now you can see this is, see how cool this is? Now I made this a 1280 by 720p resolution over here, and then I've used the background layer to put the background sprite in, and so it's 720p for my room, 720p for the image. And then when I run this, you know, of course, you'll see that it's looking pretty good. Here we go. So it's looking like that. I like it. And so now it's just a matter of starting to fill in the different details. And again, I'm going to start simple. So level 1, the easiest level of them all. What kind of object would I need? I want to have something that is just outdoors. And what I like to do for games like this where I have just tons of levels, as much as it's cool to reuse, I mean, the sprites are one thing, but the objects I kind of do fresh. Even if it's the same graphic and even if it has the same behavior, every room to me, because what if I ever want to change something? Then I have to, you know, like I come down 2 months later, a designer tells me, hey, I want to change this level. I want to get this room out of the way. I want to move this around. Like, you don't remember any longer how many objects that one object plays with inside of your game. So if each level is independent from one another, it makes, you know, just development a little bit easier. It might be a little more work up front, but in the end, that little bit of work up front always saves you time on the back end. So what I do is I'd like to just put outdoors 001, and I'm not going to make 100 levels, but you can make as many as you want. So I'm going to call this outdoors 001. I'm going to use the outdoors sprite. And I'm also, just for the sake of making this simpler too, I'm going to add groups. And I'll say this is level 001, and then I'll drag the object in there so I can, you know, I can open and close. And there are other ways. You can use the resource manager in very cool, you know, I can't get up there, in very cool ways to separate and just show the sprites and objects that are part of specific rooms. But I think that's overkill here. But if I have this outdoors 1 inside of here, it doesn't affect the naming at all. But it just affects the fact that you can go ahead and open and close and see only what you want to see for levels that, you know, the levels you want to see. So I want to drag this thing in. This is the tricky part, is getting this exactly perfect. And you can, let's see, how do I, it's been a while, Shift Alt, Shift, just Control is what you want to be able to go down to the pixel level. And it gets tedious, there's no doubt. But now I can go ahead and do that. Let's see what it looks like when it runs. So that doesn't look terrible, right? So let's see, maybe if I bring this down, maybe I have it, I think I have it horizontally, but let me see what happens if I try to do it 1 pixel perfect. Oops. GameMaker. Okay, what does that do for me now? Shoot, it looks like I'm going to have, oops, it won't show me over here. Oh, what am I dragging? Oh, goodness gracious, what am I dragging? I'm trying to drag the game over. Okay, this one. Okay. So yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Again, I'm not gonna, as much as I'm already talking about, it's 1 pixel off, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine for what I'm trying to accomplish. Okay, so what do I want to do? Level 1. This is the easy level. Control scroll wheel. I just want to click on this thing and say, hey, you beat the level. Let's move on. So in Outdoors 001, I can have a mouse left pressed event. And then, let's say, always need code. And there's a reason why show message isn't part of the drag and drop, and that's because you can only really do the show message on a Windows machine. So, and a lot of this stuff, especially nowadays, is so multi-platform that there's no reason to have a drag and drop element that is Windows specific or Microsoft specific or this or that specific. So it makes sense. It's almost deprecated. Let me see, show message. I don't think it is deprecated just yet, though. Or is it message show? I can never remember. Is it show message debug, show message async. This message creates a pop-up message. This is for debug use only on desktop targets but deprecated, and that's fine. Like in a real world situation, we would create our own extra things, but we can use deprecated things, especially if we're just running on a Windows box. So again, for simplicity, just to have something that pops up and tells you that you've won the level, I think this works just fine. You beat level 1. And since I can use factorial, since 1 factorial is 1, and so what pops up here is I click, oh, you need to be able to see it. Here it is, I click, 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 click everywhere. I click here, and it says, hey, I beat level 1. And I can say, okay. And then what I would want to do then is say, go to next room, right? So I show message, room, go to next. At the moment, right now, it should crash because there is no next room. But that's okay. Click, oops, you can't see any of it. I clicked it, and I said, you beat level 1. And I go, okay. And then there's my break because it says moving to next room after the last room. You know, that's one of those little GameMaker things. And it's fine. Level 1, you say this probably will take about the longest time of any of the levels, and that's just because finding all the graphics, cutting all the graphics, and doing what we need to do with them. So we're all set to start level 2. Okay, so level 2 is just going to be one step more complicated than level 1. And so I can, if I want to, just duplicate level 1 room here and put in level 2. Get rid of that one object because I don't need that anymore. Create a group for level 2. And then now create objects for this thing. So the first thing is, I know you don't know what I'm thinking of. What I'm going to do first is just put up a door. Door 002. All right, and then I'm also going to need, if I make it easier here, I can duplicate this one and just drag it in, rename it outdoors 002. And so just to go in, if I press left press, you go, oh, I beat level 2. We got to put 2 this time. And factorial doesn't work out. It still works. 2 factorial is 2. And door 002, when I left press on it, mouse left pressed, all I want to do is change the door. And I'm not doing any sound effects or anything right now, but I'm just going to say change instance into level 2 outdoors. So the level 2, so if I forget right here, if I forget to put anything in the room, and I play and I click and I go, oh, you be level 1, and okay, and I go, level 2, you don't notice anything because there's nothing there. That's weird. Why did that go to next room? Why isn't it just black? That's interesting, right? So here's level 1. I beat level 1 and doesn't go away. There's no objects in my instance layer for level 2. And outdoors 1 takes me to room go to next. So now I'm a little confused as to what's going on. I don't have any persistent objects. I only have 3 objects in my whole scene here. I don't get it. So, but let's just see what happens then if I try to put the door in, holding down Control again just to kind of make this work. There we go. So let's see what happens now. And if not, if this doesn't work, then I'm kind of freaking out. So here you go. Room 1 complete. There's level 2. Oh, that's weird. I have no idea why that was happening. But you can see now here, I click, click, click. I click the door. It opens up, and I need to have this there. So now I click and I do level 2, and then it crashes. So again, you need that object, that outdoors object. You can't just leave it open. There's no way, if I click, there's no way for it to know, hey, I clicked on the outdoorsy part. So that's the reason why I need that giant sprite in here to click on it. The door turns into an outdoors, and then the outdoors turns into you win the game, you win the level. Okay, so that's level 2. Level 3 now, we're going to go ahead and add the idea of a key. So you can't open the door unless you click and drag the key over to the door. All right, level 3. So here is a graphic that I found on the internet, and I just brought it down. And again, sizing, all that doesn't much matter. The whole idea is here is a key that you can use, and I'm going to click and be able to drag it along. And I'm not 100% sure. Let me go in here. Is this actually... Oh goodness, that's not. That is not. That is actually part of the image. Oh, shoot. Well, anyway, I didn't realize that. But anyway, find a better image than I found, or make your own, or whatever. And I'm just going to, this is as far as I'm going to go, have some fun. So just, there I go, just so you can kind of see what's going on. So there's my key. Oh well, such is life. And then, so there's my key. So the whole point is I'm going to be able to click and drag the key. And then if it touches the door, then it'll unlock the door. So that's a big step here. And then I guess it'll just I guess you could just say it'll immediately open the door for you, because you could, if I'm not doing sound effects today, which are difficult, I'm just not looking up more things to do, but you could have a sound effect that sounds like the door creaked up, like the key disappears and the door creaks or something. See, it's understood that you opened the door and then you could press on it. So say the sky is the limit here. I mean, the only thing that limits these kind of games is your imagination and how the puzzles to solve and all of the logic that goes into that. So, so no big deal there. So I'm going to create level 3 here, add a group, level 003, and then I'm going to start, so what have I got? I've got my outdoors, I've got this, I got that. So let's see, let's create an object, let's create the key 003, put the key sprite in. I can kind of just jump all over the place to see what it looks like in the room. Let me duplicate room 002. So I got myself room 003 in here. Let me get rid of this door. Let's drag the key in since it's level 3. Oh, it doesn't, I mean, it looks, for what it is, it wouldn't look bad if I would just go in and fix all that up, but it doesn't look bad there. So there it is, on the key's on the floor. I need to drag it over to the door. So I need to have a door object. Door 003 that uses the door sprite. Go in and Control-Alt that thing, get it in there. Looks good enough. Okay, so there we go here. And then again, I'm going to need the outdoors one more time. Oh, I guess in this case, maybe I'll just steal it. I'll steal outdoors 002, duplicate it, drag it down. Doors 003, and because this is basically going to be the same thing every time. You beat level 3, go to the next room, and up to a reasonable point, that is. So I have my key, I have my door. Let's see, let's put everything. Got my key, got my door. The outdoors is going to be triggered by the door when the door collides with the key, right? Door 3, key 3 collides. Change into outdoors 003. Instance change into level 3 outdoors. And so the key is now, is literally how do I drag that thing over? There's level 1, there's level 2, and now how do I drag this thing over? And it's not too hard to do. So let's see about that. So where's my key 003? Let me make sure about my sprite. Make sure my collision mask is okay. Manual set, rectangle. Yep, everything should be good. It's not precise. So I have a little fudge, a little room here. If I screw up and I click a little bit above it or below it, especially with a finger, that it'll be okay. I don't have to worry about anything. So again, my image is okay. So click. If I do a key press, okay, so I kind of need 2 states, and in my head, just kind of keep it easy here. I have a state 0 and a state 1. State 0 is unclicked and state 1 is clicked. So I can just say state is 0. And on mouse left pressed, I can set this state to 1 because that is currently in my case, the clicked and held down state. And then what I can also do then is on global mouse left released. So the left press specifically has to be touching the key. But when I release, especially if I'm moving my finger fast and all that, there might be a brief moment where you kind of lose the lock on it, and I don't want that to happen. So as long as it's the global, it could happen anywhere in the world, then I want to put the state back to 0. Okay, so that doesn't change anything with the game, of course. That just changes my internal logic of, state 0 versus state 1. How do I handle, right? Am I clicking? Oh, you can't even see. I'm clicking, nothing's happening. The state under the hood is changing, but nothing is happening according to that. So in a step event, what I can do here is I can do an if check, if variable, and I could say if my state is equal to 1, then I want to move, jump to point, and make sure you drag that to the right side so it's in here, and I want to say not relative or anything. I want to go to mouse X, mouse Y. I want to have this thing match me. So let's try it out. Oh yeah, after a while, if you want to, you can move the rooms to the top, the ones that you're working on, so you don't have to go through every level to get to wherever you are. But anyway, so let's see. And there we go. Now the only thing is it doesn't look just right because the mouse is in the upper left-hand corner. It doesn't even look like you're holding it, but there you can see. Okay. And so I beat level 3, crash, of course. So what I can do to fix that up is just change the center point of this sprite to right. It won't let me do it. Why not? Is it not locked? Manual. Oh, I just have to be out of that apparently. There we go. So I can have it hooked up there. So when I click on it, so it'll look like I'm actually holding it with the mouse pointer. And then another thing here is something you may have noticed here. When the door hits the key, I want to change this guy into the outdoors, but I want with the other object, I want to destroy it. The key has no longer served its useful purpose. So I can say, wait, what is this one? Destroy a position? No, I can just say also destroy other. And other only applies in a collision event because self is me and other in this is the event is the object I've collided with. So now coming back, let me drag level 3 up to the top so that oops. Let me drag level 3 up to the top. There we go. So we don't have to play levels 1 and 2 anymore, since they're too easy. So now I have my key, and there we go. See how it matches up? So it looks a little better. And say there might be a brief moment it doesn't look perfect, but it is. And then once I click, there we go. And now it opens up, and now I can click, and I can beat my level. So level 3, as far as I'm concerned, is complete. All right, so my next level here is going to be level 4. And what do I want to do now? So now you see level 3. So now I'm going to add a cabinet, armoire, or something, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to put the key behind the cabinet. And then you have to move the cabinet out of the way, like you push it sideways, horizontally. And only when the key is not touching the cabinet can you click and drag it. And so I think that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna, so we're gonna see. I'm eventually gonna move the key over here, put the cabinet over here, so I can drag the cabinet this way, so I can move the key over and do the exact same stuff as I did before. So the only object the only sprite I added was my cabinet. I just found a cabinet. You probably want to make sure that the cabinet's wider than the key, so that it's hard to find, so you don't realize there's a key hiding behind the cabinet. But that's just the way, my level is going to be set up here. And so I just went ahead and did that, and I can create this guy. I'll call it cabinet 004, create my group. Oops, well, we'll need an object anyway, but add group, level 004, not 0045, drag the cabinet in, drag this other object in, because we will need it in a minute. And so what do I need? Like I said, I need a door. Well, actually, maybe I'll just delete it after. Just delete it so that I can go ahead and duplicate door 3. Call it door 4, and then drag it down. Door 4, outdoors 4. Oops, come on, this is the hardest part. Nope, come on guys. All right, door, cabinet, this, and then I'll need a key. Duplicate the key, and we'll just kind of see, that's what I'm saying, like it's nice to think, oh yeah, I'll just duplicate and just keep the same name, but at the end of the day, yeah, you can duplicate, but then you are changing some of the behaviors of most of these objects again. So let's see, level 4. Let's see what I just duplicated room 3 to get it going, but I got to make sure all the objects in the scene are 004, and this is this layer over here, and it shows you the objects in the room. So I want to make sure I put key 004 in here, cabinet 004 on top of it, and I probably want to hold this down, so just get it kind of like this, So you can't see the key behind it like that, like so. And then put the door in. Same rules apply for the doors, that it doesn't do anything until the key touches it. So the only real rule here is, well, when is the key going to touch it? So let's just see what this looks like. Because right now I can still drag the key, because the key, there's no rules behind this. There it is. Yep. Okay, so then that's the tricky part here. Yep, I have key 4, but I have door 3 when it comes to the collision event here. Door 4 collides with key 3. This is the reason why drag and drop, and not drag and drop necessarily, but cut and paste is not a good thing most of the times, because you can accidentally screw that up. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Let me delete that. Delete that event so that I can change this event into collision with key 4. Much better. Let's try running it again. So now drag the key. Okay, opens up. I beat level 3. Well, outdoors 4 needs to have this say you beat level 4. All these little details, right? The reality is all these levels you wouldn't be spending 5 minutes per level. Generally, you'd be spending a couple hours on one of these if you're making like the really high-end levels for some of these games. So there's my key. There it is. I opened up. I beat level 3. Uh-oh. What do I have in this room? What objects do I have? Key 4, cabinet 4, door 4. Did I just go into the wrong object? Outdoors 4. You beat level 4. Key 4, cabinet 4, door 4. Key 4. We don't have to worry about just yet. Outdoors 4. I beat level 4. Cabinet 4 doesn't do anything just yet. What in the world? I beat level 3. Outdoors 4. Or did I go into outdoors 3 and change it? Nope, outdoors 3. So we'll have to come fix, or does level 3 have, level 3 has key 3 and door 3. So I'm very confused at this moment. What did I do wrong? I won't bore you anymore. If it doesn't work this time, I will not bore you anymore. We'll just move on. Nope. And we'll figure it out later. So, okay, so what do I want to do? I have outdoors 4, door 4, cabinet 4. I'm in level 4. So what I want to do here with cabinet is kind of like what we did with the key. I want to say on mouse left pressed, I want to be able to, I guess, set the state. So it's very similar to what we were thinking about for the key. So I could have probably copied the whole thought process here, but just for the sake of repetition, I can say this thing starts out in state 0. If I press on the thing, I start out. I go to state 1. On mouse global left released, put the state back to 0. Okay, and in the meantime, in a step event, this time I can say, okay, if my state is 1, if my state is 1, and then what I want to do is jump to point. And now I only want to move horizontally. It's not like the key where I can move the key. The key weighs nothing, right? But this armor is very, very heavy. So I should just say move to mouse X, and then I'll just say Y. So the Y position will never change, but the mouse position will dictate the horizontal position on this thing. So that's pretty cool. So maybe, again, coming back, maybe I want to center this thing, top center. So it's a little more centered. So once I touch it, it doesn't kind of get off. I mean, it's going to get a little janky anyway because, oops, I have to fix that up in a minute anyway, because just there's not perfection here by any means, but there we go. So I can move this thing horizontal, depth ordering, right? The cabinet should probably be in front of everything. And there's only a few objects, so you can just drag the cabinet so that it's actually shown in front of the door. If there were more objects, maybe I would agree with you, but depth settings and things like that. But if you can just drag and drag the things, I think it's fine. The cabinet, then the door, then the key, and that's all that's good here. So I just have to go back and just move the cabinet over a little bit. But the same rule applies, though, both of these objects I can click and drag, and that's not the intended purpose, right? So the final step here is to go into key, is to go into key 4, and in this step event, when you say, oh, okay, if my state is equal to 1, okay, that's fair enough, but I guess it comes down to left pressed. I can say when I press the left arrow key, not on top of just saying, oh, state's 1, how about I ask the question, are you colliding with, are you colliding with a specific object? So what I can say is, if, so before I do this here, so if, when it comes to the level 4 cabinet, relative to my position, relative to the position of the key, I say, if there's not a cabinet at that position, then set the state to 1. So there you go. See, I'm clicking both, but because in this oh, if you can't see it, I'm clicking, and I'm clicking both. I'm in the bounding box of both of these, but because there's a collision at that current moment, just to show again, because there is a collision, we come around this if statement, and then we don't do the change of state to state 1. The cabinet can move, but the key doesn't, so now I have to let go, and now I can pick it up, and I can do whatever I want with it, put it here. This goes around, but the same thing goes. I can put this thing back behind here, and until I move the cabinet out of the way, that key is not going anywhere. So I can take the key now, move it wherever. I can say I can hold it. Maybe you want the key to be in front now. Oh, see, that's the tricky part, right? Now, while you're holding it, do I want the depth to be different? Probably, right? Because you don't want it to be stuck behind. So just one of those cute little things here. I can say, since I'm in the key object, and I can say get rid of this thing and bring this in, I could say, okay, set my depth to -1, only in the case where my state is set, and then on global left released, put the state or put the depth back to 0. Or in this case, just to be safe with it, make it a +1 so it's behind everything. There's no reason to start it out with a different one. Okay, so what have I got? I've got this. I drag, and now I got this, and now it's in front because I've changed the depth setting to something more negative, more closer to my eye. But once I let go and I drag it again, it's back to 0, or in this case a +1, so it's going to be drawn behind the cabinet. So in front of the cabinet now, behind the cabinet now. So I think that's pretty cool. And then I click. I still don't know why it says you beat level 3. I don't understand what's going on between level 4 and level 3 here. However, I think we have it working pretty well, and if I figure out what the heck's going on between my levels, I will let you know. Okay, so I totally figured it out. It's inside of door 4 here. Collision with key 4. Change instance to outdoors 3. So this would be change instance to outdoors 4. So that's exactly this is. One little tiny click, but it was causing a big problem. So I do recommend, especially for these kind of games, do not just copy paste these things. I'm doing it just to save you guys a couple minutes so you're not watching me click and drag things for half an hour and tuning out. So I do recommend not doing what I do. Do not do what Donnie Don't does. So here's level 1, beat level 1. Here's level 2, click, I go and beat level 2, drag the key for level 3, take the key, put it in front, take the key, can't drag it until it's all by itself, click, and now I beat level 4. And now in 15 seconds, that's half an hour's worth of work, right? And we can beat it in less than 15 seconds. And so we're gonna do 1 or 2 more rooms, and we're gonna add a few more details to this. And then of course it crashes in the moment because there's no level 5. Let's move on to other types of things now for level 5. So I'll duplicate level 4. So this time around, what I'd like to do is set up just something simple, just something a little different. So I'm going to get rid of I'm going to get rid of all the objects in here. And what I'm going to do is set up, I have everything I need. Well, no, actually I don't. Create object, I'm sorry, I meant to create a group for my level 5. And what I'd like to do is set up a button that you need to press, say, 10 times, and then the door will open. So just something a little different. Okay, delete that. So I'll need to, this time around, I'll just create a sprite. I'm not going to go looking for it. It's just something tiny, just programmer art. And I'll just call it push button sprite. And I'm not going to add an animation or anything to it. But a 64 by 64 is fine. I'm just going to create a red circle to push. Alright, and then give it maybe a little darker red or something. And there you go. There's all there is to it. And so I have my push button sprite, and now inside my level, I'll need to duplicate the outdoors as always, and this time again, making sure now that a minute ago in your terms, I screwed everything up when it comes to what was being printed out. So let's see, left pressed shows you beat level 5, and go to room next. Okay, fair enough. And then I'll need a door, the normal door, duplicate for this door 5, bring door 5 into play, and now for this, the collision with key no longer matters, so the door is going to have this, and now I can create a button 005, and I can set up the sprite for this thing, and it's going to look horrible, but there's my button, and there's my door. Control, move it right into place correctly. There we go. So now I got door 5, button 5. It's all I need. You can put the button anywhere. And again, if it wasn't 11:30 at night, I'd just go find a better looking button and stuff like that. But we got the point here. Yeah, like you wouldn't know it's a button because of my art skills, but okay. So in the button, I'm going to start out. I'm going to create, and I'm going to say, if you want to think of it, how many times have I pressed the button? And I got 0, right? Because when the level starts up, I haven't pressed it at all. But on mouse, left pressed, I'm going to take that pressed variable, and I'm going to increase it by 1. So 1 relative. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, and then what I can do here is put an if statement and say if this pressed variable, and again, you could change it obviously to whatever you want, but if it's greater than or equal to 10, you just want to have that happy case. If it's, because what happens if you accidentally click it twice or some weird thing where you jump over the 10 case? You'll never be able to beat the level, and it'll be a weird bug, and weirder things have happened in this world. So what I would want to do then is I want to change, instance change, if I've pressed it that many times, I want to say for every, since there's only 1 in this level, say for every door in my scene, change into the outdoors. And then if that's the case for the button, yeah, the button can stay there. It doesn't much matter. And there's, say with no sound effects, oops, I'll bring this over and you go, okay, I got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there you go. And so I keep clicking, and it doesn't much matter because there's no more objects in the scene. Every time it's greater than or equal, it's trying to change, but there's no objects to change. So then I beat level 5, and then of course, didn't crash. Beat level 1. Oh, that's because level 5 takes me to level 1 right now. Yeah, duh. And that's just because I brought level 5 up so to make it easier on everybody. But that's the one of the final kind of levels that I wanted to show, is just have something like that. Just use a temporary variable and just check that temporary variable on a click-by-click basis. Okay, so let's move on to one last level. So for the final level I'm going to work with you guys here, I would like to take this push button example and advance it just a little bit more. So looking at level 5, what I'd like to do for this final level 6 is have 2 buttons, and then this time on there I'd like to have a number display from 0 to 9, and every time I click it I increase it by 1. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 9 brings me back to 0. And then I'll leave like a little clue for the user to be like, oh, I want them to type in or put the number 81 in, and when 81 is set, then the door will open. I think that's a good idea here. So we have the push button. we'll create a font here in a minute. I'll add group for this level 006. And then, let's see, take the outdoors, duplicate that as always, create that, call that outdoors 006. Go in here this time around, say you beat level 6, game over, something like that, just so, at least in my game here, I'm not doing anything more than 6 levels. And so instead of room go to next, I can do a game end, so then the whole game shuts down on me. I think that's a perfectly legitimate thing to do. I'll need this door object, just like before, door. Put the door in the room. And nothing happens to it again. And I'll need 2 buttons this time, and these buttons are going to have very different behaviors than before. So I'll say, okay, button, I'll call this button left 006, and then I'll have a button right 006. Just so I know which one's which when I try to figure out what numbers are supposed to be what when it comes to the room. So then I don't have a level 6 room yet, so I'll duplicate my level 5 room. Pop it in there. Give it a go up top. Okay, so level 6 is the same here. Get rid of all the level 5 stuff. Put the level 6 door in. Hit Control to be able to move that around again. Put that in, okay. So then the outdoors again, we won't matter so much here. So put the left button first, put the right button next, okay. And so just for this, what I'm going to do here is go into the button sprite itself, and just so everything prints out like I want it to, instead of having to do all sorts of crazy math, I'm going to use middle center for the centering on that, which means, at least at this point, I've changed the way the room 5 was, and now it's level 6 too. Everything is just slightly different when it comes to where things are centered on my screen. Okay, so what do I have working for me? And then, I don't know, should I just create a little tiny graphic here? I'll call it level 006 hint sprite or something like that. And I'll just make this, I don't know how big to make it, 300 by 100 or something like that. And I'll just go in here and just draw with a big something, I don't know, black, I don't know, whatever color to draw. Just draw and say 9 times 9. You'd be like, oh, I think I'm supposed to put 81 into there, right? That's there we go. I think that looks amazing, right? So then I'll need one final object that uses this sprite, and I'll say hint 006, and use that sprite and just put this object into the room somewhere. Where's my hint? There it goes. Something like that. 9 times 9, and there you go. So, okay, so now, so now we have everything we need to kind of get ourselves going. Let me create the font, and I'll say level 006 hint font. I'm not going to use anything too big, just something that gets the point across. There we go, that looks okay. I'll use 25-point font, sure enough. Default regular, okay, I don't have much else to go off of. I'm just picking one just to have one in place here. And so now what I'd like to do, once I get this working for one of them, it'll work for both, so it'll be the same behavior. So on create, I'm just going to say my variable, I'm just going to say my digit is equal to 0. Every time I do a mouse left pressed, I'm going to increment this thing, increment digit by 1 relative, and then do a little if check here real quick here right after this and say if digit, I think I spelled it right, is greater than or equal to 10, and then I will say set digit to 0, because it's, you could subtract 10 or whatever, but I'm just going to say set it to 0. I'm adding 1, so when I hit double digits, it comes back around. And then so I have everything I think I need to maintain the digit. And so here in the draw event, I'll need to do a draw self because I'm taking over draw from GameMaker. So I'm basically now I'm saying, oh, draw whatever you would have normally drawn had I not been around. And I can do a draw set color. Just got to find it, set draw color. And I'll say, yeah, I think it's red, so does white work on red? Sure, we'll try it out. And then I can do alignment, draw set text alignment. They say I'll center this thing. Center middle, I guess, apparently. And then I'll draw the text. Draw text, draw value. And then I'll say, no, I don't need a caption. My value will be called digit. And I can put it at 0, 0 because that's the center point of everything. So let's see what this looks like when I run. Hopefully it doesn't crash. All right, so there you go. So there's the 0. Okay, so that is, I didn't, oh, of all the things, I guess I didn't set the font, right? I set the draw color, I set the text alignment, but after all that hard work, I did not even use the font. So let me jam it in here and say, let's use that level 006 font. So let's try this again. And there it is, a bigger 0, and every time I click, and it so it's anywhere from 0 to 9. I think that's pretty cool, right? Okay, so I have all this hard work. I don't want to have to write all that code again, so I'm just going to delete this button right just for the brief moment here, just so I can duplicate it and just call it button right. Button right 006. All right, so then just going in here, let's see, create event, digit 0, draw event. Nope, nothing's really changed, using the same font, using all the same centering. Digit is part of this, so yep, I didn't have to change a darn thing. But I do have to add it to the room. So I'll pop up, because once you delete it, it deletes the object from the room. And so in this case here, I have this, and now they're completely independent from one another, which is good. It's what I want. And so now we're one step further to getting this thing done. And so one last step here for this door. You could put this in a lot of different places. You could have a controller object, but this is simple enough. I feel like you could put this in the door and just say on a step event, on a frame-by-frame basis. You could say if, and you got to name this exactly how you name it here. And I'm going to say, let me make this bigger so you can see. So you say if button left 006 dot digit. That's the problem with this. If digit is equal to 8, that's what I want, 81, right, is what I want out of this thing, then I can tie the two ifs together. This is why I hate drag and drop. All right, so if button left is an 8 and button right is a 1, then I can do my instance change, and I'm already in the door object itself. So I can say, if both of these things are true, change myself into the outdoors instance. So here I go, boom, 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 boom. You're just playing around with it, right? So let's see, 82, no. Anything with 1, no. But how about, I'm hemming and hawing here, but how about 81? And there you go. It just checks. Since there's only one of these objects in the scene of each of the left and right buttons, it's very easy for GameMaker to deduce what I'm trying to get out of this thing. Go to this specific object in my room, tell me what its digit, that value is, tell me what this digit is, and if they both match up, if that's an 8 and that's a 1, hey door, change me into the outdoors, I'm done, I'm good to go. I think that's pretty cool. So let's see. So let's tie all the levels together before we call it a day here. So I've got level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's try it all out and make sure we don't have anything working for us. So here's our super tutorial level. Hey, look at that, freedom. And then I go, okay, I'll open the door, and then I'll get my freedom. And then I can take the key, drag it around, open the door, get my freedom. So I can't click the door to leave. I have to, okay, this one too, right? I have to move this out of the way. Remember, this goes forward. I think it's pretty slick. And then it hits the door, good to go there. Level 5, push the button 10 times. I can't open the door otherwise. Leave the room. And now here, leave me a little clue. Set this up to 81. And I'm out the room, game over, and my game ends. And I think that's a perfect I think that's a perfect ending point because the sky is literally the limit here. You could do absolutely anything you want. It's just coming up with the originality, coming up with the puzzles, coming up with the, the basically the flow to the room itself, because you're basically doing an escape room, but you're just doing a computerized version of it. So I think I did a pretty good job here of making everything available to you, but always, if something is wrong, go to or send me an email at swordby@cod.edu. Send me a comment here in the comments section on YouTube. And I do plan on making more videos than drag and drop, between drag and drop and GameMaker language stuff. It's just I got a whole ton of other classes I got to teach here, so I'm trying to get to it. So also then, if you like these videos, put some comments in here. What would you like me to try to make? I mean, I love making games. I don't get much time to do it anymore. But if you have a thought of like a genre or something that I haven't already done, I'd love to hear about it from you guys. So as always, thanks for putting up with me. Thanks for being here. Hope you learned something out of this, and I'll see you next time.